Hi everybody, in this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and move on and talk about how to create a quiz assignment in the classwork section. Let's jump into it. Okay, so like I said, the focus here is going to be the quiz assignment, all right? So in the last tutorial, I talked about how to create just a standard assignment. Now, quick disclaimer, as far as this tutorial, really the main focus that I'm going to kind of really dive into is how to use the Google form when creating this kind of assignment. Now, the reason for that is in the last tutorial, a little bit of a lengthy one, I really went in depth in as far as how to set up an assignment, send that to the student, what the student sees, and then how to grade the assignment that the student gets back to you. All right. So if you really want to see the full process of it really going between teacher and student, I would definitely check out that tutorial if you have not. All right. But for this one, like I said, just kind of review the basics of setting up an assignment, but then talking a little bit more about the quiz element, right? So let me go ahead and jump into it. So on my screen, go ahead and click on create and click on quiz assignment. Now, like I said in the past in the overview video, essentially all this is a standard assignment that you're just linking a Google Forms quiz to. And the nice thing about it is it's going to go ahead and set up the Google form as a quiz for you. But we'll talk about how to change that and how to adjust that for your needs. All right. So, quick review before we get into the form. As far as this layout for the assignment, we have the title, any sort of title you want. Any instructions you want to give. Once again, this area is optional. And being that you are doing a quiz, you could also put instructions inside of the quiz. Totally up to you. And then these standards as far as who you're assigning this to, how much it's worth, and when you need it back by. Right. So for this, let me just throw in a few things. So just example, I don't need to touch this one right here. As far as it is for, how about for this one, I'll say it's for both my classes. And once again, I'm rushing through this because I talked about it in the last tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to all students. I'll leave it at worth being 100 points. Let's say the due date, it needs to be done, sure, 28th, that is fine. And I don't have a topic, nor am I going to worry about a rubric. And once again, in a different tutorial, I'll be talking about how to set up the rubrics in this area. All right. Okay, so let me go ahead and jump into the quiz. Now, keep in mind, it's going to give you that Google Form template, but you're going to have to go in and really put it together yourself. So let me at least show you the basics of how to use this tool. All right. Okay, so the first thing that I would recommend doing is give it a title. All right. So what I'm going to do right here is just call this example quiz. All right. So I have that. And then I'm going to click up here and do the same thing. So let's just say example. Perfect. Okay. So you have the title. Now, once you have that, then you can start putting your quiz together. Now, as far as what they have already given you, you have the title right here, and you have one question that obviously needs to kind of be developed. All right. Now, let me point out this thing right over here. This is where you can really start adding to your quiz. All right. So if I click this top button, it's going to allow me to add a question. For this one, I can import questions that I have used before. And yeah, you can use past question from past quizzes, or maybe make a giant Google form that has a lot of questions that you can use as a bank. Up to you. Okay. Right here, just to break down the quiz, you have a title and description, image, video, and then this one is nice because it's add a section. Now, the difference between a title and a section is a title will break up a page, a section will send them to a new page, all right? A new section of the quiz, all right? So for this one, yeah, I can go ahead and add another question and just really add what I need. All right. Now, let me get into the actual question itself just real quick. As far as your options, first off, you can choose what type of question. Default, it has multiple choice, but I can click that and I have my different options right here. Okay. I can then go in and add the different options. I can add as many as I want. All right. And then the final thing, let me talk about the stuff down here. Okay. So right here is the answer key. Now keep in mind, if you're doing a scored quiz, you obviously have to do this. So if you click on the answer key, you're going to do two things. The first thing is you're going to tell Google Forms which one is correct. So let's say option two is correct. And then you have to also tell it how many points this is worth. So let's just say 1 point. All right. So, and also if I wanted to, I could add answer feedback. I'm going to leave that for now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. So that question, aside from not having a question or answers, would technically be good to go. All right. And I could do the same thing for this. Now, moving over this way, you can duplicate this question, which it can be nice. And especially if you're doing, say, a vocabulary thing and you have the same terms but different definitions, you could just duplicate this and then change out the definitions and, of course, change out the answer key. All right. Just an idea. Next thing is obviously if you don't want this, you can delete it and then required. At least for me, most things I do, I make sure to click that because a lot of times students will just kind of click through and they'll miss something. So I tend to leave that on to make sure that Google Forms will stop them and let them know what they need to do. All right. So yeah, that, like I said, and there's definitely further you can go. But that is the basics as far as starting to set up your quiz. And my advice, as always, when it comes to this stuff, is your different options right here, play with them and see what works for you. Now, a few more things I want to point out before I wrap this up. Your tools that you have up here in the top right hand corner. Okay, so the first one is customizing the theme. So if you want to kind of decorate this a little bit, you can click this, and just like Google, it's going to give you a lot of pre-existing themes, but you can add your own. All right. So first off, the header, you can choose your own image or images that they provide you by clicking here. They have tons of different stuff, but like I said, you can upload your own picture if you want. Okay. You have the color theme right here, so you can just change the color and so on. All right. So that is just kind of changing up the look of your quiz. The next thing is preview. Now, typically when I put these together, I always make sure to click this and do the quiz myself. My quiz myself, but also make sure that everything came out correctly. All right. So always preview and test it out to make sure that it works. Okay. The next one is the settings. Now, as I mentioned, cool thing about this is it will preset this as a quiz for you, but there are a few tweaks you can make if you want to. So let me show you that. So if you click on settings, you're going to have general, presentation, or quizzes. Now, this is going to be turned on for you, but a few things you can change. So first off, I'd leave it as a quiz. You can choose when to release the grade, and you can also choose what they see. So do you want them to see all the missed questions, correct answers, point values? Pick what you want. All right. As far as the presentation, right now it's saying show link to submit another response. You can have that or not. You can add a progress bar. You can shuffle the questions. Just some things you can do. All right. And the last thing is general. Now, generally, what I like to do where it says collect email addresses, I will usually have that on. And the reason for that is usually I'll have a short answer question in the quiz that asks for their name. But just in case I don't get that or they put the wrong name, I have their email for a backup. Okay. And for this one, limit to one response. If this is a one-shot quiz, one-shot test, whatever, then I would want to make sure to click that. Okay. And then the last things, you can choose if they can edit after their submission, and you can choose if they see a summary of the charts and the text responses from other students. All right. So make sure, get comfortable with those settings because definitely a lot of different things you can do. All right. Okay. And one more thing I want to point out on this Google form, once students actually start doing this and responding to it, you'll be able to go to responses right here, and you'll be able to see essentially group information. It'll just put together different charts for you, but then individual quizzes, individual assignments. All right. But let's pretend I was done with this quiz. I can now close out of it. And once again, not updating here, but it should change that name. But yeah, I have the title, instructions, the quiz itself, and I have all this set. I can now assign this quiz to my students and they will get that. Now, one more thing I want to show you. So you have this quiz, they will have it, they will be able to do it. Now, once you do this, your view, when you click this link right here, is going to change. All right. And let me show you this. If you click on that, instead of going to the edit screen for this quiz, it's going to take you to the quiz itself. All right. So if you want to get back into the editing screen, which you do because you want to see the responses, easy way to get there is simply go to your class drive folder. That's where Google saved it for you. You should see it in there. All right. And I see it right there. I can click into it. And now I can go back and I can edit that quiz if I want to. And I can see all of those responses. All right. Okay. So, like I said, with this one, I didn't do the back and forth as far as what the teacher does and what the student does and so on. This would be an insanely long video. Okay. But if you want to see that, go to my previous tutorial on how to create an assignment. But for this one, that is how you create a quiz assignment.